I want to start this deep dive with a concept I like to call sonic DNA.
Sonic DNA. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, it's this idea that a piece of music can have a biological parent, like the person who actually wrote the notes, but it can also have an adoptive parent who raises it to be something uh, completely different.
That is a very high concept way to start a music history session, but I like where your head is at. It suggests that music evolves or maybe mutates depending on whose hands it falls into.
Stick with me, because this mutation is wild.
Yeah.
I want you to picture two completely different scenes.
All right, paint the picture.
Scene one, it's 1981. You're at a wedding in the suburbs. The lighting is low. People are swaying in powder blue tuxedos.
Classic early 80s vibe.
Exactly. And you're listening to a silky smooth, slow dance R&B ballad by a mixed-race band from Illinois. It's polished, it's emotional, it's, safe.
I can hear the synthesizers and the perfect three-part harmony already.
Perfect. Now, hard cut. Scene two. It's 1987. You are in a grimy club in Queens, New York. The air is hot. It smells like sweat and hairspray. The energy is frantic.
A total 180.
Right. There's a raw electronic beat pounding, and a hip-hop track comes on that is so infectious it literally forces people onto the dance floor. It's gritty, it's street, and it's sexually charged.
Two very different worlds. One is smooth soul, the other is the golden age of hip-hop, just as it's finding its feet and getting aggressive.
Right. But here is the mystery, and really the whole reason we are doing this deep dive today. What if I told you that the thread connecting these two worlds, and I mean a literal physical sonic thread, is a single whispered phrase?
A whisper.
A whisper that started as a throwaway moment in an obscure funk song and ended up defining an entire era of rap.
I know exactly where you're going with this. It's the perfect case study for how music history isn't a straight line. It's a web of accidents, technology, and unintended consequences.
So today we are looking at the band Champaign, known for their massive hit, How About Us, and the legendary hip-hop trio Salt-N-Pepa, known for the anthem Push It.
And our mission isn't just to play the songs, it's to unpack how a forgotten funk track from 1977, a joke record that was never supposed to be a hit, and a very specific vocal ad-lib collided to change pop culture forever.
Let's dive in. We have a stack of sources here. We've got transcripts from Pauli Carman, the lead singer of Champaign, interviews with Salt-N-Pepa, and insights from producer Herbie Love Bug Azor.
All the key players.
Exactly. So let's start with the smooth side of the equation. Who were Champaign? Because looking at the notes, they seem like a bit of an anomaly for the time.
They were fascinating. Champaign was an American R&B band, and they were quite literally named after their hometown of Champaign, Illinois.
Which is pretty far from the usual music hubs.
Right, the geography matters here. They weren't part of the Los Angeles smooth jazz scene or the New York funk scene. They were in the middle of the country doing their own thing.
And they weren't a manufactured boy band either. They actually had some history.
They did. They formed in the early 80s, rising from the ashes of some previous local bands. One was the Water Brothers Band, and another was a group called Coal Kitchen.
Coal Kitchen, that sounds gritty, like grittier than Champaign.
Definitely put a pin in the name Coal Kitchen. That is the smoking gun of this entire story.
I'm keeping it in mind.
But before we get there, we should look at the lineup of Champaign. You have Pauli Carman on lead vocals with this absolutely incredible range. You have Rena Jones on vocals and Dana Walden on keyboards.
And they hit gold immediately. Their 1981 debut album drops the single, How About Us?
A massive track.
If you were alive in the 80s, or honestly, if you've listened to any late-night love song radio station since then, you know this song. It's ubiquitous.
Oh, absolutely. It hit number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 4 on the R&B charts. But the fascinating thing you found in the research is the origin of that song. It wasn't originally R&B, was it?
No. And this honestly blew my mind. It was written by the keyboardist, Dana Walden, way back in 1975 as a country pop demo.
Which actually explains the melody structure perfectly. If you strip away the production, it has that storytelling country ballad ache to it. It's very structured.
Exactly. But when they brought it to Pauli Carman, they realized a country twang didn't fit his voice. Reviewers constantly call his texture silky smooth.
It wouldn't have worked as country.
Right, so they slowed it down, added those lush synths, and completely transformed it. It's a great example of how arrangement changes everything. The DNA is country, but the expression is totally soul.
But the recording session for that song, that's the part of the research that really sticks with you.
Yeah. This is where the story gets heavy. Pauli Carman discusses this in his interviews, and it gives me chills every time I read it.
Set the scene for us.
Picture this. It's December 8th, 1980. Pauli is at Universal Studios in the vocal booth. He's feeling on top of the world. He just nailed a take for How About Us. He knows it's the hit. This is the song that buys his mom a house.
It's the moment every artist waits for. The breakthrough. The validation.
He looks up at the control booth window, expecting the engineer to give him a thumbs up or a smile. But the engineer isn't looking at him. He's looking at a news feed.
And he hits the talkback button and says, John Lennon has been murdered.
Can you imagine the whiplash of that moment?
It's unimaginable. You're singing about love and how some people never find it, pouring your heart out in this beautiful ballad, and at that exact moment, the world loses a Beatle to violence.
Pauli said that memory is permanently etched in his brain. The highest high and the lowest low, simultaneously.
That is heavy. It really grounds the song in a very specific, tragic moment in history.
So Champaign takes off. They have this hit. They follow it up with Try Again in 1983, which is another great track. But then, as bands often do, the decline sets in.
Right. The usual suspects, egos, internal arguments. By their third album, Woman in Flames, they were fighting over production choices.
Losing the magic.
Exactly. They moved away from their formula, tried to do too much, and the commercial success started to fade. They became one of those, oh yeah, I remember them, bands.
So that's Champaign. Smooth R&B, huge in the early 80s, then fading out. Now, I want to whip you across the country in a few years forward. We are going to Queens, New York. Enter Salt-N-Pepa.
A completely different energy. We're talking about Cheryl James, who is Salt, and Sandra Denton, who is Pepa. And we have to introduce the third main character here, the puppet master behind the boards, Herbie Lovebug Azor.
Herbie was Salt's boyfriend at the time and their producer. Now, everyone knows Push It. It's an anthem. It's iconic. But reading the story of how it was made, it sounds like it was a total accident or even a prank.
Prank is a really good word for it. It was actually a dare. And to understand the dare, we have to talk about regional beef in hip-hop.
Explain that for us.
So Herbie Azor is on tour with a group called 2 Live Crew. Now, we need to explain 2 Live Crew for a second. This is Miami bass music.
Fast tempo, 808 drums. Very, let's say, explicit lyrics, the kind of stuff that famously got records banned.
Extremely explicit. And musically, it was very simple. It was all about the beat, the chant, and getting people to dance. Now, Herbie is a New York hip-hop head.
And New York hip-hop was very different.
Totally. New York in the 80s was about lyricism, metaphors, flow. It was cool. Herbie is watching the crowd go absolutely wild for 2 Live Crew, and he's angry. He thinks it's garbage. He literally calls it corny.
So he's being a hater. He thinks it's unsophisticated.
100%. But his friend, the rapper Dana Dane, challenges him. He says, look, if it's so bad, I bet you can't make a record like that.
And Herbie takes the bait.
Herbie, being arrogant, says, I can do that in my sleep.
So it wasn't an artistic expression. It was a diss track against a whole genre.
It was a caricature. Herbie specifically wrote lyrics that he thought were stupid. That's why the song is just, ooh, baby, baby, and push it good.
Wow.
He was trying to mock the simplicity of Miami bass. He wanted to make something that was almost a parody of that high-energy dance rap.
And the craziest part of the sources is that Salt-N-Pepa, the actual artists, hated it.
They were the victims of the joke. They despised it. You have to remember, they were trying to build street cred as female MCs in New York, which was heavily a boys' club.
They wanted to be taken seriously.
Right. They wanted to be seen as lyricists. They didn't want to be pop. They definitely didn't want to be a joke.
I love the detail about the recording session. This wasn't at a high-end studio like Champaign used for their ballads, right?
Right, not at all. This was at Fresh Gordon's home studio. And to get the vocals to sound distinct, they recorded them in the bathroom.
The bathroom, really.
For the natural reverb. Tiles Reflex sound really well. So Salt-N-Pepa are huddled around a mic next to a toilet, feeling incredibly awkward trying to sing those lines.
The ooh, baby, baby lines.
Yes. Just thinking, this is going to end our careers before they even start.
That is hilarious. They thought it was too cheesy.
And it wasn't even supposed to be the single. It was literally the B-side to a track called Tramp.
So how did it blow up if it was just a buried B-side?
A DJ named Cameron Paul out in San Francisco flipped the record over. He started playing the B-side, Push It, in the clubs.
And the crowd reacted.
The reaction was so intense, it filled the floor immediately. He ended up making his own remix, and radio stations were basically forced to pick it up because the demand was just too high.
It's amazing how the audience decides, not the artist. The artist can say, this is my serious work, and the audience says, no, we like the bathroom song.
Always. The audience is the final editor.
Okay, so we have the smooth Illinois R&B with Champaign. We have the bathroom recorded New York rap with Salt-N-Pepa. Now, let's connect the dots, because there is a sound in Push that is arguably the most famous part of the song.
The whisper.
Then push it.
Exactly. That rhythmic, breathy whisper that anchors the entire beat. It's percussive, it's human, but it's also weirdly robotic.
For years, I assumed, and I think most people assumed, that was one of the girls, that it was Salt or Pepa whispering on the mic.
It is not, and this is where our two stories finally collide. That voice belongs to none other than Pauli Carman, the lead singer of Champaign.
The How About Us guy, the guy who was crying over John Lennon.
The very same. But, and here's the nuance, it's not from a Champaign record. Herbie Azor was what we call a crate digger.
What does that mean for people who might not know the terminology?
Before the internet, if you wanted a cool sound, you had to go to a record store, go straight to the dusty bargain bins, and buy obscure vinyls just to listen for a drum break or a weird sound effect. It was musical archaeology.
Digging through crates of records.
Exactly. And Herbie found a 1977 track by Pauli's previous band, Coal Kitchen.
The band with the gritty name from earlier.
You got it. The song was called Keep On Pushin'. It's a funk track. In the original, Pauli is singing his heart out, and at one point, just as a stylistic ad-lib, a little bit of flavor, he whispers, push it.
Just a background vocal?
It lasts maybe 1 second. It wasn't the hook. It wasn't the chorus. It was just a split-second moment in time.
And Herbie Azor heard that 1 second and thought, what? That's my chorus.
He thought, that's my texture. You have to understand the technology of 1987. They were using samplers like the SP1200. These machines had very limited memory.
How limited?
We are talking seconds of sampling time for the entire song. You couldn't sample a whole verse or a long melody even if you wanted to. You had to grab tiny snippets, a snare hit, a horn blast, a whisper, and then loop them to create a new rhythm.
So the technology actually dictated the art. You needed something short and punchy because the machine physically couldn't handle more.
Precisely. He isolated Pauli's breath, truncated it, and looped it. He essentially turned a human voice into a drum.
That is the ultimate irony. You have Pauli Carman, known for this silky, pure, romantic voice on How About Us, and yet his voice is arguably more famous for being a mechanical, sexually charged percussion instrument in a rap song.
It's the absolute magic of sampling. It takes a sound out of its original context, a funk band in the 70s, and recontextualizes it into something completely different. It changes the meaning entirely.
And I have to ask, because this was the Wild West of sampling, did Pauli know?
Not at all.
He didn't know he was on the track.
It's not a clue. In 1987, the legal framework for sampling was still being figured out. Marley Marl had just introduced Herbie to samplers. They were grabbing sounds from everywhere.
Just a free-for-all.
Totally. Pauli Carman mentions in the interviews that no one came to him with a check initially. He was just listening to the radio one day, heard Push It, and probably thought, wait, that breathing sounds familiar.
That must have been a massive shock.
And not just him. The song Push It. It is a bit of a Frankenstein monster of samples. It quotes, "The Kinks, you really got me," with the line, "Boy, you really got me going."
Oh, I never realized that was a Kinks reference.
Yep. It also grabs James Brown ad-libs like, there it is. And it has those synth sounds heavily influenced by Kraftwerk. It's a total collage.
But the whisper is the glue. It's the hook that holds the collage together.
It is the heartbeat of the song. Without that whisper, the beat is just drums. With the whisper, it's alive.
So we have this track, Push It, released into the world. Salt-N-Pepa are worried it's too pop, but it becomes massive.
Yeah.
However, it also got them into a bit of trouble, right? The sources mention a run-in with the law.
Oh, absolutely. And this ties back to the misunderstanding of lyrics. You mentioned earlier about the song being sexually charged.
Yes, the Bible Belt police story. I want to make sure we cover this properly.
So Salt-N-Pepa are touring. They are down in the Carolinas. And according to the records, the police were literally waiting backstage.
Wow.
They were ready to arrest the group for obscenity.
Because of the dancing. Or the outfits.
No, because of the sample. The police officers genuinely believed that the lyric, the one we just discussed, was not push it real good, but pussy real good.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. They impartially thought the song was just chanting an obscenity over and over again on stage.
So what did the band do?
The group's manager literally had to run and get the liner notes, the physical lyric sheet, to show the police. They were pointing at it saying, look, P-U-S-H, push.
That is incredible. And to be fair, the song is suggestive. I mean, the intro literally says, this dance ain't for everybody, only the sexy people.
Right. Salt-N-Pepa have always insisted, for over 30 years now, that the song is just about dancing, pushing it on the dance floor. But the public, well, the public heard what they wanted to hear.
Yeah, the heavy breathing and the rhythm didn't exactly discourage that intimacy interpretation.
Definitely not. Interestingly enough, it's a song highly popular in maternity wards.
Wait, maternity wards?
Yes, Salt mentioned that in an interview. It's played when women are in labor. Push it.
That makes so much sense, actually.
She even shared a story about an aquarium telling them that when they played the song, the sharks started mating.
No way. Sharks.
That's what she said. The beat is just primal. It affects everyone, apparently, even marine life.
So let's bring it back to Pauli Carman. He finds out he's the voice on this massive hit. He wasn't asked first. Is he bitter? Does he feel ripped off? Because usually these industry stories end with massive lawsuits and anger.
Surprisingly, no, or at least not anymore. His perspective in recent interviews is really refreshing. He completely embraces it.
What does he say about it?
He calls it a blessing. He talks about how surreal the whole experience is. There's a great quote where he talks about hearing his voice in a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, the Flamin' Hot Cheetos one.
Exactly. Hearing that commercial in 2022, 45 years after he recorded that original demo with Cold Kitchen.
That's amazing. 45 years later, that one breath is still selling products on the biggest television broadcast of the year.
He sees it as part of his legacy. Even if it started without his permission or knowledge, it kept his voice alive in a way that How About Us might not have done on its own. It crossed entirely new generations.
It's interesting to think about legacy in that way. You can plan your legacy, like recording a beautiful ballad, hoping it gets played at weddings, or your legacy can just happen to you because some kid in Queens liked the way you whispered one word in 1977.
And that's the beauty of hip-hop and sampling culture, really. It allows for this underground creativity. It digs up these artifacts, a drum break, a horn stab, a whisper, and gives them a second life.
It redefines them.
Pauli Carman is a soulful R&B singer, but he's also an anonymous hip-hop icon. Both things are true at the same time.
It really makes you wonder about the throwaway moments in music.
Exactly. When Pauli was in that studio in 1977 recording Keep On Pushin' with Cold Kitchen, that whisper wasn't written on the sheet music as the part that will make millions of dollars.
Oh, wow.
It was just a feeling. It was an ad-lib. He probably didn't even think about it 5 minutes after the session ended.
And Herbie Azer, despite thinking the genre was garbage initially, had the ear to hear that potential.
He did. And credit to him, he admitted that sampling changed his life. He said Marley Marl showed him a sampler and he thought, oh, I'm rich.
He saw the future.
He realized he didn't need to play instruments. He just needed to have the best ear for sounds. He needed to hear what others missed.
So to wrap this deep dive up, we've gone from a country demo turned R&B hit in Illinois
To a bathroom recording session in Queens.
connected by a single whispered sample from a funk record that nobody remembers except for that 1 second.
It creates a perfect storm, and it shows that creativity often comes from the friction between things. Smooth versus rough, pop versus street, intentional versus accidental.
It's a great reminder that once art is out in the world, you don't really own how it's interpreted or used anymore. It takes on a life of its own.
Absolutely. A whisper can become a scream, or in this case, a global anthem.
I want to leave you with a thought today. If a whispered ad-lib from a 1977 funk track can become a massive dance anthem in 1987 and then a Super Bowl commercial in 2022, what throwaway sound from today, maybe a mistake, a cough, a weird background noise in a TikTok video, is going to be the hook for the biggest song of the year, 2070?
Now that is a fascinating thing to think about. The throwaway sounds of today are the iconic samples of tomorrow.
Exactly. Keep your ears open, everyone. And of course, keep on pushing.
See you next time.